What's up guys, it's Josh from KeepItTechie, and today I wanted to do a quick video showing you guys Manjaro Linux. So as I stated, I want to do a quick video just kind of showing you guys Manjaro Linux. I want to go through and show you guys how to actually install it, as well as how to actually use it by showing you the desktop and showing you the features and all that good stuff. So let's get started. The first thing I want to do is go to their website. I already have it pulled up. It's manjaro.org. And just to read a little bit about it: free operating system for everyone. Manjaro is a professionally made Linux-based operating system that is a suitable replacement for Windows or Mac OS. Multiple desktop environments are available through our official and community edition. We also work with manufacturers to design dedicated hardware. Visit the shop for more information. So, just to give you a little bit more background on it, it is a Arch-based distribution. So I kind of recommend people that want to install Arch and use Arch. This is a good alternative from actually installing the full-blown version of Arch. It has a very simple installer. It has multiple desktops. It shouldn't take you too long to actually install it, just like installing Ubuntu or any of those easier or considered easier distributions. In order to install it, the first thing you want to do is just basically click on the Try Manjaro link right here. And I'm going to read a little bit about this because this is the actual desktop edition I want to actually install, which is XFCE. And so it says this edition is supported by the Manjaro team and comes with XFCE, a reliable desktop with high configurability. XFCE is a lightweight desktop environment for Unix-like operating systems. It aims to be fast and low on system resources, while still being visually appealing and user-friendly. XFCE embodies the traditional Unix philosophy and modularity and reusability. It consists of a number of components that provide the full functionality one can expect of a modern desktop environment. They are packaged separately, and you can pick among the available packages to create the optimal personal working environment. So, like I said, this is the XFCE edition. It's very lightweight. This is the one I recommend. If you guys want to actually install Manjaro, just go on and use XFCE. It's like very customizable. And I'll show you that when we actually get into the system. But they also have a couple other editions, the KDE Plasma edition. Now, this is for people that kind of don't want to get away from the Windows look of environments. This will actually look and feel like the Windows environment. So I don't recommend it, and the only reason I don't recommend it because if you want Windows, you might as well just use Windows. Or a Windows-like system, you might as well just use Windows. But KDE Plasma is still a pretty good desktop environment. I know a lot of people that actually like it, like real well, but I'm just not too much of a fan because it's very heavy on the resources. So, and also they have a GNOME version, so you can download this one as well. GNOME has been around for years, has GNOME 3, it comes with GNOME 3. And so this is actually Manjaro 18.0, so, or 18.1.5. So in order to get it, you just click here, get XFCE. You know, if you want a different desktop environment, just click on that, it'll take you to it. There is a 64-bit and a 32-bit. In case you have some older hardware and you want to try this out on, you can download the 32-bit version by clicking, this link here. But you just click the download button right here. This will download the 64-bit environment. And then down here is actually a minimal desktop. environment, which won't come with all the software pre-installed, like all the basic software like GIMP, and just various tools that people normally install on the system. They kind of pick and put them in here. Well, it won't come with all that on there. It'll just be a base desktop environment. So if you want to store it off that way, you can. But I recommend you just getting this one. That way it has some of the software, and that way you can kind of get your feel. So let's get started. You just click this download button and download the ISO. Then you can burn it to a disk or a USB drive, plug it into your system, and you're good to go. Okay, so I'm gonna be installing this on VirtualBox, and this is a little bit different from actually installing it on the system. So just bear with me. I basically have to build the system out first and then do the installation. So it'll take a couple of seconds to do that. I'm gonna just breeze through it. So first thing you do is hit new. This will allow you to start building the actual system. This is basically asking for a name. So I'm gonna just do Manjaro. And then I always kind of put like the desktop environment, because sometimes I have the same OS with different desktop environments installed, or I'll have like different versions of it or something that I want to look at. So I'll name it using the desktop environment, but you don't have to do that, whatever. Just click Arch Linux, and you want to pick the 64-bit Arch Linux, and I can click today. Hit next. And then we go down. This will allow you to pick this memory size. So I'm just pick about 2 gigs. Come on, where is it? There we go. 2048. This is the hard disk. This is creating a hard disk, the virtual hard disk. This is the file type that you want the hard disk in. VDI, which is the virtual box disk image. That's the actual file type. Next, there's dynamic and fixed, and what we want to use is dynamic because it'll grow as needed. It won't fill up or use that whole drive space on your system. So dynamic is preferred method. Hit next. Then you can select your hard drive size, and I'm gonna just do like that, about 20 gigabytes, which is fine. It's not gonna even take that up, but all right. So we go to settings now at this point, and then I always like to bump it up to like 2 CPUs. That way it'll run a little smooth. Then the display, go down here. I'm gonna bump up the display and enable 3D acceleration. And actually, I'm gonna turn that off. I'm not gonna put that on. And then let's go here and actually select the ISO. So this is equivalent to you burning it to a disk or a USB drive and plugging it into the actual computer. So this is kind of like a virtual CD drive, because all I have to do is attach the ISO. All right, and then let me click here, live CD, and that way it knows. All right, so let's go down to audio. We don't need to select anything else except for network, and I always like to put it on bridged and use my network adapter. It'll kind of split it off, so it'll pull its own IP address on the network versus, a virtual IP address. So I like to use that, which is the virtual IP address is NAT, which is, it's fine. It'll just run through the internet on your system. But bridged, it'll get its own IP address, and it'll be separate from your computer, almost like a real computer just plugged in or connected to the Wi-Fi separately. So that's all we have to do in here. So we can press OK, and now we can boot up the system. So all you have to do is double click on it, and not sure why it always does that, but whatever. Hold on, let's go here. Manjaro, choose start, and there we go. Okay, so this is kind of like the main menu. It's basically asking you what you want to do with the in the live CD, and what you want to do is log into the system. So you just hit boot Manjaro right there, and this will probably take a little while to boot up, but I'll come back when it finishes. Okay, so this is what it'll look like when it boots up on the live off the live CD. And pretty much all you have to do is click the launch installer. But before I do that, I want to adjust my desktop settings. And that's only my display settings. That's only because you won't be able to see the installer properly. So I just want to do that so you guys can actually see everything while I'm going through it at least. So let's hit close. So that's good enough. That should be good enough. So I hope you guys can see this, but right here is just a welcome page, and it'll bring up, documentation, readme, release loads, release information, the wiki, and support information, project information. And then right here is just the launch installer. So that's what we want to do, is just click that, and this will actually launch the installer for Manjaro. So it's a pretty simple installation. It's, you just go through each of these tabs just by clicking next, making your selection, hit next. So this is American English, next. American, Los Angeles. You could pick whatever location you're in. Next. It's the keyboard layout. Next. Right here is where you do the partitioning of the hard drive. Since this is a brand new VDI or virtual disk image, then we can erase the whole disk. Now there's a couple options here. You can install it with no swap, and then swap no hibernation, and then swap with hibernation. If you want to have hibernation, then you want to select this. If you don't, select here. And if you don't want any swap, which is what I'm gonna select, because this VM is gonna get destroyed after I finish this video, I'm gonna just do no swap because it doesn't matter. I don't need to use that space for that. And then also there's an option to go in and manually partition your hard drive, because some people like to put their home directory on like a different partition. You can go through and do that by clicking here. It'll ask you, how you want it set up. You can set up the home directory on a different partition, or it could be a different drive, what I'm saying, that you want it to get installed on, or you want the home directory pointed to. So you can go through and manually set all that up. And then also you can encrypt the system. And right here, it'll just ask you where the bootloader should be located, which is on the one drive that we have, which is dev SDA. So once we have all that set up, then you just hit next. And here's where you set up the user. And I normally just use my, my first name. You could do it however you want to, and then I'll just leave that Josh PC. Well, actually, let's put Man PC for Manjaro, and that's just the computer name, so it'll show up on your network as that name. And then you type in your password right here, and you have to type it in twice. So. And then there is login automatically, which I never do. Some people do that. That way it doesn't ask you for your password. It'll just automatically log into your account. I never do that because I always want to make sure my account is secure. Not that I have anything to hide, but I always like my system secure. So never check that box. And then the second option right here is to use the same password for the administrator account, which is cool. So I normally use that. That way it's simple. As long as I have a pretty strong password, having that password in both spots is okay. But best practice is to have a different password for the administrator account. But I do it like this for my VMs just because I don't care at this point. So hit next. All right, now this is where it asks you if you want Office installed and what version of Office you want installed, or not really Office like Microsoft, but meaning LibreOffice or Free Office. So you can select out of those two. And I'm going to select no Office because I don't want it taking too long on the installation. But you can select your Office, program at this point, and it'll install it along with the full installation. So you don't have to go through and install it later on. Okay, and so let's hit next, and this will give you a full summary of everything you set up, location, keyboard, and the partition information. And so next thing you do is just hit install, and then it will ask you, are you sure, basically. You just hit install now, and it will go through, and you can sit here, you can go get a cup of coffee, hang out, and then come back, and it should be done by that time. And so I'll just stop the video right here and come back with the system back up so I can show you guys how to use it. Okay guys, so the installation is complete. The system has been rebooted. I removed the installation media and I went on and logged in so I can adjust the desktop settings so you guys can actually see everything while I'm walking you through how to actually use the system. So let's get started. The first thing I want to show you guys, I'll start over here on the right hand side. This is the actual logout. So if you click that button, it's pretty much a logout button, and it gives you all the options that you want to use, and actually you can save whatever you want for every future login. So if you click this checkbox and then click on a certain thing, every time you click that button, it'll do that action for you without you having to actually select something. But I don't like to do that because I always want to have that option. Sometimes I want to reboot, sometimes I want to shut down, and so on. So those are the options by clicking that button. It's basically kind of an exit button. Good to go. And right here is your calendar. It has a full calendar in it. It gives you, a preview of everything right here. Then the time, and you can adjust this by going into the properties. I'm not going to actually do that, but you can adjust it by going in there. And if you click on it, it'll bring up the full calendar. Right here is your volume settings. So it's pretty easy. You just click here. You can set your mic settings. You can close that. They have an audio mixer. And I'll open that up so you guys can see. But there you go. You got your audio. You got your output device, recording device, playback, input device. If you have a microphone connected, you can switch that out. All that good stuff. And right here is our actual clipboard. So it shouldn't be anything under here, but if you click on it, this is the clipboard. So anything that you have copied or whatever, you can go through and look at your history for it. And so right here is one of the good parts of the distribution. Is the actual package manager. So this is the GUI version, basically, of Pac-Man. It's a wrapper for it. That allows you to go in and install all your applications. So this package manager is pretty easy to use, as you guys can see. It has the categories on the left hand side, so you can click on those guys and go through and look at the different categories of software. And then you can also search the software. So it's pretty good. So anything that's in the repository is there, as well as if you turn on the AUR, that will be there as well, which, as you can see, it's already turned on. Now by default, this is actually not turned on. I actually went in and turned that on under preferences. So if you want to turn on the AUR, you have to go into preferences, and it's going to ask you for your password. You just type that in right fast, and it'll bring up a menu, and you just click on AUR and enable, and you're good to go. But like I said, once you enable that, you'll be able to, access everything from the AUR. And then also, if we click here under all, well, actually not all. If we click here under installed, this will actually show you just the installed applications, and I'm waiting for it to refresh. But you can go through and remove all your any application that you don't want on the system if you want to remove something. So that's everything installed on your system. And then here are the updates. So one thing your system will do when you first boot up, it'll say you have a lot of updates, and that's the reason why the AUR was turned on for me. Because I logged into the system and updated it before I actually started back recording, because I didn't want you guys to have to wait for that, just to get bypass all that, so I won't make the video too long. So like I said, this is the package manager. You can always go into the terminal and install packages that way, just like in Orch. Sudo pacman -S and the package name. You can go through and install just like in Orch that way. So okay, so the next thing, your network connection. If you have a wireless cord, then it'll pop up there. Mine is acting like a network, a regular network adapter, like Cat5 cable, because it's running through the VPN, and it assumes that it has a Cat5 cable plugged into it, when actually it's just basically going through my Wi-Fi. So this will allow you to go through and mess with your network settings right here. So, and then you can add VPN connections. If you have a VPN, you can go in and actually select the VPN and connect to it. Once you install the actual VPN, here is the battery settings. So let's see, if I right click on it, you can go into the power management settings, but I'm gonna show you the full settings in a few minutes. I just wanted to show you that you can look at the information there, and you can actually shortcut to the power management settings, which I'll show you the full settings where all this stuff is located. Now here, just to show you what this actually is, let's open up the file system here, and then let's go to the other desktop and open up the trash. So if you're new to Linux, what they have is multiple desktops or multiple workspaces. So you can actually have multiple desktops. I mean, most of the time I have 4 set up where I can actually have multiple applications open at one time without it flooding up the machine or flooding up the desktop. Where you have like too much stuff open. Like I'll have one workspace with just my browser open with a bunch of tabs. Then I'll have another desktop where I have the terminal open with maybe a folder or 2 or something. Then I'll have another desktop where I might be working on a photo as well, and I just pop back and forth between the different workspaces, and it helps with your workflow. So that's one good thing about Linux that I really enjoy, that is not available in Windows. So this is like that's like one thing that just keeps me away from Windows. I really like having multiple workspaces. It just makes your workflow a whole lot better. So I'm gonna close that out, but I just wanted to show you guys, you have different workspaces with different, applications, if you don't know that. Okay, and this will actually, and I probably shouldn't close that. Let me open it back up. Right, fast, the file system. But this is kind of like, I can't remember what version of Windows, but you know how you can go to the bottom corner of the desktop and like hit it, bump it or whatever, and it'll minimize everything. Well, that's what this is. It's just a button for it though, and it'll minimize everything for you. As you can see, it's still open. You can just click on it that way, but this will minimize anything that you have up. If you click it again, it'll bring it back up. So okay, cool. And I didn't explain that, but these are just some shortcuts, just like in Windows. You know what I'm saying? It'll have the recycle bin in Windows. Well, it's trash can. And just a few other shortcuts. This gets you to your home directory and then the main file system. So you can actually remove these if you want to. It's up to you. Now, next thing I want to show you guys is the actual start menu. It's kind of like Windows, you got start menu. You just click it here and this will bring up all your applications, as well as a lot of these other settings are in here as well. And just show you a few things right here. This is the actual favorites. I'm not going to go through each one of these, but this will, once you start using stuff, it'll start showing up in the recently used list. So once you open up an application, it'll, store it in there as recently used. And then this will go through all, and then they have different categories for everything else. Now, to quickly get to your settings, you can either click here or you can click here. It has two options for it. And just to show you on this favorites thing, let's say we want to add something to the favorites. So all you have to do is find that application. And I'm going to use like GIMP, which is pretty simple. Right click on it, hit add to favorites, and it will show up here. It'll stay right here. And I wanted to show you the search bar right here. You can search all of these applications that are within here just from right here. So if you know the name of it, you can type the name and it'll filter it out based on what you type. So, and then this is just some more of the settings that you would use over here on the logout button. There's the logout button there. There's a actual switch user, so that'll go straight to the switch user instead of bringing up this menu right here where you click on switch user. It has a shortcut for it already there for you, so just click that switch user, and the same thing with the lock screen. It'll just go right to that button that's under here. So just showing you guys what that is. And so last but not least, I want to go through the settings. Now, this is the most important part. I want to show you guys, this is how you would customize your system to your liking. I won't go through everything, but I just want to show you most of it. If you ever been into control panel on Windows, this is pretty much the same thing. They just call it settings. So you got your about me. This is where you can go through and add your information. Like if you want to put your name, email address, all that good stuff up in here. You can change your picture. So like if you want to, when you're logging in, it'll show like your picture next to your name. You can do that there. So let's close this. And then here is a good thing I want to show you is appearance. Now this will allow you to customize the appearance of the actual desktop. So it might freeze up a little bit on me, but I'm gonna click on one just to show you guys the differences. But you can actually go through and add new styles to your system. And as you see, it kind of changes up the color. You see how the panel down here actually change colors. So you can go through and select what you want and make it look how you want. And they have a whole bunch of different ones already pre-installed, so you can go through them and play around with these and see what you like, and kind of modify from there. And as you can see, it kind of changes everything. So if we go, let me go back to this one that was up here, the white. And if we click on the start menu, you see how it all changed up in here. So, and I'll just leave it that way. But then there's the icon pack. So you can actually install icons on here. You can go find them on the web. There is, I forget what the website is called. I think it's Gnome Look or XFCE Look, something like that. But you can find different icons online. All you have to do is search for them and you can customize it, even more. And then you can set your fonts. You can make custom fonts for like all this text on everything. You can change the fonts for, icons, all that stuff. So you just have to go through and learn how to do it. Well, go through and play around with it and you'll see what it changes. This is the toolbar style. But anyway, they have these settings in here. You can go through and change them, show images on buttons, edit this stuff as you see fit. So here is the desktop. You can specify what you want on your desktop, like these things. You could put that in there, or your backgrounds. This is where you can customize your background. So let's see what will look good with the white. Let's put the white background there. There we go. And so that looks a little better. And if we scroll back up, there is a menu settings, so you can go through and change some of these settings. And then the icons, you can change what they look like on the desktop. So right there. And let's go back to all settings. So file manager settings, you can actually go in and modify that. I'm not gonna go through it, but this is the file manager preferences. Right here is notifications. I just want to show you guys, this is kind of important because whenever you get like updates that are needed, or like if you authorize certain applications, it'll start popping up with notifications. So I just want to show you guys that's where that is, in case some application you getting a whole bunch of notifications and you want to turn it off, and you're like, how do I turn these notifications off, because it's getting very annoying. Well, you just click in here, notifications, and you can change the applications that you want to allow to actually have access to give you notifications. So you can go in there, and then preferred applications, that's the panel. Windows Manager, that's the settings for the window manager. You can go in and change the way that looks as well. I'm not gonna mess with that, but this is the window manager tweaks. You can go in and actually, it's just some extended settings you can go through and change for the window manager. So then you have workspaces. This is where I was talking about. You can add more workspaces. Like I normally like 4, which is cool. And you can name them whatever you want if you want to as well, I believe. Yeah, there you go. You can name them. And so I'm gonna leave that. And then you could change the margin as well on it. So let's go back. Here is the terminal settings, so you can go in and modify the terminal settings, and the rest of this stuff is pretty self-explanatory. You can change the color profile, display settings, mouse, keyboard, power settings like I showed you down here. Removable drives, you could specify how you want the drive or how you want the system to react when you plug something into it, like a removable drive or like a CD drive or something. You can specify the default settings for that. Here is Light DM, which is the actual greeter, which I'll show you in a minute. I'm gonna actually log out of this system so you guys can see that. And then this is Manjaro notifier settings. So this is just some more notifications, and I think this is probably where the software updates will pop up. So they're under a different setting. So I kind of misspoke up here when I said notifications. This probably I'm pretty sure this controls the notifications for different applications. This controls the notifications for Manjaro, meaning like software updates and stuff like that. So firewall settings, add remove programs. That's actually going to open up the package manager that we had open, and session and store it up, and just a few more options. Check it out. It's not hard to figure out once you get in here and start playing around with it. So I don't want to go through all of it, but that's good enough. So let's log out of it right fast so I can show you what the actual login screen looks like. And the reason I didn't show you guys at the beginning was because it makes it small, and I don't like how it looks very small. It doesn't adjust the display settings until you actually log into it. So I'm gonna log out of it. It's gonna make it small, but you guys can still see it a little bit. But that's what the login or the greeter looks like. And actually, you shut down the system from here. You restart, suspend, and there's just some more information. And if you had like a different desktop installed on here, because you can install multiple desktops if you didn't know that. So you can actually have GNOME on here by just installing GNOME along with XFCE. So you can select the different desktops from here. It'll show up here, and the language and the actual computer name. So, and the way you log in, it'll default to the default user account. If you have more than one user account, you just click here and it'll have them listed under here. And if you allow like a guest account or something, then it'll pop up there as well with no password or something like that. If you have like relatives come over and you want them to be able to use your laptop or your computer, or if they need to use it, you know, you can let them log into the guest account. But that's pretty much it. Once you see this, then you just type in your password, log in, and it'll bring up your desktop and you're good to go. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. If you have any questions, please leave them down in the comments below. And of course, keep it techie.